My name is Mark Takelet, and I'm the Product and Distribution Manager for Pursuit Boats. Our goal is to build the perfect boat on time, every time. We're going to go through a series of segments that are going to explain how Pursuit boats are built and what makes Pursuit boats so unique. First segment, what we're going to cover is the lamination area. Now, we actually manufacture, design, and engineer every one of our molds that goes into building a Pursuit boat. So that way we can control the exact symmetry of the mold and the finish of the mold as well. Take a look at the sides of the hull. They're perfect. And that is going to translate into a perfect finish on the outside of your Pursuit boat. Now we're in the mold maintenance department. Every one of these molds has to be maintained before they can actually roll through the production process. In order for us to pull fiberglass parts from these, they have to be waxed and waxed appropriately. So what we do in order to make sure that we have the right amount of wax on the molds is we do what we call a simple tape test. And if the tape pulls off like this, that means it's perfect. If it sticks too much, that means we have to add more wax. And if it comes off too easy, that means we need to actually remove wax before we put it through the production process. The first layer that's applied to the mold after it's been waxed is the gel coat. And the gel coat is very important because that is the final finish of the boat when it gets pulled out of the mold. So this deck has already been sprayed and it's already been QC'd, where the technicians will go around the entire deck with a mite gauge to see how thick the gel coat is around the entire perimeter of the deck. And before it can leave here to go into lamination, it has to pass that QC inspection. Once the gel coat process begins, so does the quality control process. This is a build book for this particular deck. Each and every fiberglass part is going to be part of a build book, whether it be a hull, a deck, a small part. The build book is used as a guide for each technician so they understand what it takes to build each individual part. So basically the technicians can QC themselves as they go through the process so they understand whether or not the part was built to the way it was engineered. The next step after the gel coat has been applied is to apply a skin coat. And that's the first layer of fiberglass with resin that gets applied to the boat. Pursuit uses only the finest quality resins in every application, offering superior water resistance, unmatched flexibility, which also allows us to build a stronger fiberglass part, which in turn allows us to offer our 5-year structural and blister-free warranty. Pursuit uses a CNC cutting machine to cut every piece of fiberglass that gets used in the lamination process. This allows us to cut every piece exactly the way they are engineered to ensure the quality that you expect. Each individual piece is designed and engineered from our engineering department to go in a certain application on the boat itself. And this allows consistency and high quality across the board when we're actually building the boats. As each piece is cut and rolled off the end of the table, they'll actually take parts and roll them up and put them into a kit. But you'll also notice that as the parts are being cut on the table, there's a part number that is spray painted on every last piece of fiberglass. So that way we know exactly where it's got to go on the end product. At Pursuit, we pride ourselves on the fact that we only use the finest quality fiberglass materials in every boat that we build. For skin coats and tight radiuses, we'll typically use a chop strand mat. And then for more structural areas, we'll use what we call a stitched biaxial fiberglass mat that has fiberglass chop on the backside of it. Now we use this fabric instead of a woven roving because it's stronger and you don't have to use as much material to get the structural strength out of the boat. Some applications will use what we call a core mat material. This core mat allows us to build up thickness in the hull side and without adding a lot of weight. And then we'll also use a balsa core on other models. And the balsa coring also allows us to add thickness and structural integrity without adding a lot of weight. Now we're in the lamination department. This is what we call the hand-laid fiberglass process. This is what helps us keep consistent quality on every single Pursuit model that we build. And also, it helps us maintain and control the weight of every single boat. Each piece is individually labeled and marked, so when they pull it off the rack and lay it out on the boat, they know exactly where it belongs and it goes exactly where it was engineered to be in the boat. Another detail that we employ is filling the strakes with putty and glassing over them. Now the strakes run the entire length of the hull in most cases, and by filling the strakes it actually adds a little more structural integrity to the bottom of the hull, which in turn improves performance for you when you're running the boat. Now what we're seeing is a deck getting laid up in lamination. Now unlike the hull, the deck has a lot more intricacy to it and a lot more detail. So it becomes very important that all those pieces of fabric that were cut earlier to get laid in the right spot. The deck is getting hand laid. That's a very important aspect about this because a lot of other manufacturers don't do this. Now, by being hand laid, again, it allows us to control the structural integrity of the fiberglass part as well as control the weight of the part as well. Now we're in the small parts area of the lamination department. Small parts consist of helms, hatches, hardtops, windshield frames, among other items. Pursuit chooses to use more small fiberglass parts in their boats because it allows us to control the fit and the finish and the quality of all of the pieces that go into the boat, giving you a more yacht-like feel and appearance to the boat. In the upcoming segments, we're going to discuss other processes that will explain how Pursuit is built to a higher standard.